Are you struggling to draw noses? Do you have a hard time making them look realistic? Or do the proportions look off every time you try to draw one? Well, in this video, I'm gonna try helping you by showing you the basics. Now, to understand how to draw a nose, I'm gonna start off by showing you where the nose is located on the face and how we can deconstruct it into simple shapes. I'll start off by drawing the side view of a face by using the Loomis method. If you want to learn more about this technique, I'm gonna link a video in the description. I'm gonna start off by drawing the eye socket right here, just as a reference. Then we draw in the forehead, and as you can see, I'm drawing a small indent that starts from the eyebrow. The top of the nose starts around the eye line, and we try to create a triangle shape like this. This is the most basic form for drawing a nose, and we're gonna use this as a starting point. Now I'm gonna do the same with the front view. I start off again by sketching the eye socket. Then we draw this basic shape between the eyebrows. Then we draw the bridge of the nose, but this time we use two lines. Also, we can now see both sides of the nose. Remember, I'm drawing basic shapes to show you the position of the nose on the face. Later on in the video, I show you how to draw the nose in more detail. Now, if we try the same for the head turned sideways, we draw the eye sockets again. Then we draw the indent between the eyebrows again. We draw the bridge of the nose, the side of the nose, and if you want to, we can see a little bit of the underside. Now that we know where the nose sits on the face, we can start looking at the shape of the nose itself. Again, we're gonna start off with a side view. We start off with the forehead, then we draw the indent that starts off around the eyebrows, and then we go out to the shape of the nose itself. You'll notice that most people have a small bump in the middle of the bridge of the nose. That's where the skeleton sits. Then we draw the tip of the nose that curves like this. And then we can draw the nostril, which also curves under. Now, of course, this is a general shape and everyone's nose will look different. That's why you really have to look at the reference you're drawing. Now let's try the front view. We draw the center line and then we draw where the nose begins and ends. Again, I start with the bridge of the nose, which widens in the middle. Then we draw the tip of the nose, which is kind of a diamond shape. And we can start with two holes that start off from the center. Now we draw the nostrils, which also curve under again. Also with the front view, we can see both sides of the nose again. As you can see with these steps, we're starting to get the basics of the 3D shape. Okay, now let's try a bit more of an advanced angle. We're drawing a face looking up to the side. I will indicate the eye sockets to make it a bit easier to start. We start off with the basic form of the nose like this, where we can see the underside. As you can see, I'm not drawing the bridge of the nose as long as the previous times. It seems a bit shorter because of the perspective of the head tilting back. Now let's curve the tip of the nose, and then we connect it with the nostrils. Now, because the face is angled to the side a bit, we won't see all of the second hole, but it's a bit smaller because it disappears behind the middle edge. Here you can see me defining the shape just a bit more. And as you can see, the second hole is just a little bit smaller. Alright, I decided to show you one more thing before we move on to the next step. This time I will show you what the bottom of the nose looks like. This is what you can see when someone's head is tilted all the way back. I start off with a triangle shape, which I will flatten on the top. Then we draw the center line. Then we draw the holes on both sides, which are not perfect circles, but we will stretch them out a bit. And as you can see, they lean to the middle. Now we can draw the nostrils, which curve in, and then we connect them with the top of the nose. But not in a flat line, more of a fluent S shape. Now that we got some of the basics out of the way, like where the nose is placed on the face and how to build up the basic shapes, we can make it look even better with some shading. To do this, we have to determine what direction the light is coming from. I decided to pick a more common light situation where the light is coming from above, slightly off to the side. I start off by shading the bottom of the nose. And then I'm roughly drawing the shape of the drop shadow, which I'm also given a first layer of shading. Next up, I'm shading next to the bridge of the nose, the side that's facing away from the light. I end it with a small stroke of shading, which represents the curve of the nostril blending into the tip of the nose. This first layer is the basics of the shading. But if we want to, we can start adding some darker tones. I start off with both the holes, which are obviously the darkest part. Now I'm darkening up the drop shadow, with the darkest part being under the edge of the nostrils and the middle part. Then I'm blending it together to get a smoother result. But now the bottom of the nose is looking too light. So we start darkening that part too. I decided to keep the right edge of the middle part a bit lighter for a better look. Also, I'm giving another layer to the part where the nostril meets the tip of the nose to give the shape even more definition. And here you can see me smooth out the edges. Now, I know this can seem complex really quickly for someone just starting out. So here you can see me drawing lines on the edges of the shadow parts, so you can have an even better look at the shapes. Now that I showed you a basic example of the shading of a nose, let's try to apply all we have learned to actually drawing from a reference picture. I thought it would be fun to start off with a well-known person, so let's try to draw the nose of Elvis. I start off with drawing the direction of the bridge of the nose, which I slightly tilted to the left. Then I'm trying to sketch the general shape of the nose with a few lines. I know this step can be intimidating for some people. And there's not a lot of clearly defined tricks for sketching basic shapes when drawing from a reference. So I'm thinking about a new video concept where I'll try to explain this the best way I can. I continue on by coloring this nose hole. Then I'm sketching the edge of the drop shadow under the nose. Next up, I also start shading this drop shadow. You'll notice I'm drawing in a quick sketchy way because I'm not trying to do a perfect clear drawing. Instead, I'm trying to get the essence of the reference picture. Then I'm shading the right side of the nostril. But as you can see in the reference picture, this part is a little lighter than the drop shadow. Now I'm doing a light shading on the side of the nose, which I darken up in this upper edge of the nostril. Then there's a light stroke of shading where the nostril meets the tip of the nose. Next up, I'm shading the underside of the nose. To finish it off, I'm just doing some light blending of the edges of the shading, and also I'm taking some last good looks at the reference picture to see where I still have to darken up some shadows or if I see any other mistakes that I didn't see before. For this last example, I'm drawing Cara Delevingne because of her distinctive facial features. I start off with a line representing the bridge of the nose. Then I'm going into the tip of the nose and compare this to the nostrils to get a rough idea where everything is positioned. Once I'm happy with the general shape, I start defining some of the lines. Next up, I start sketching the shape of the drop shadow. Again, once I'm happy with the result, I start with a light overall shading in this drop shadow and the side of the nose. For the next step, I'm introducing some of the darker tones next to the edge of the nostril, and I start blending it into the drop shadow. Also, I darken up some of the shading around the tip of the nose, but I make sure to keep the nostril a bit lighter. Now, for the last step, I smoothen out some parts where I feel it's needed, and I darken up some parts to give the overall drawing some extra contrast. If you like this video, feel free to give a thumbs up and subscribe. You can check out my channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.